Good evening. It is Tuesday, the 20th of August, 2024. It is 8 p.m. UK time. And this is the 45-day show, episode 28. And yeah, we're moving on with the numbers. We're going to get close to that 45 soon. But tonight, I have someone who I was connected with by my good friend Malong from the Asymmetrics, who I went out and did a Panama event with. And we were talking about maybe a European event, Amsterdam, something like that. And he said, oh, you should definitely get in touch with Matteo. Because he's doing lots of cool stuff, has an amazing record collection, and is about to start a label. And so we got in contact, and here he is. So I'm really interested to see what he's up to. So
Hi.
it's Matteo.
Hello.
Good to have you on. Thank you for taking the time to sort of be here. I know you're busy, obviously, if you're running a label or about to start a label.
Thank you for having me here. I'm glad.
It's one of those things. But yeah, let's go right to the beginning, because I always ask my guests about musical influences, because I'm always intrigued to find out who got them into music, whether it was parents, brothers or sisters, siblings, friends, whoever it was. So for you, who got you into music, and what age were you at then?
So, like I could say from the record collection of my father also used to be, still is, a big record collector. He has nice collection of LPs, like mostly like classic rock and bit pop music. But since I was a kid, I remember there was the living room always full of these records, and he was playing them. So I guess it kind of started from that. And I used to be very little, like I don't know, 8 years old or something. That I have memories of this, and I remember he was playing a lot of these Beatles or Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin, and so if it answers the questions, yeah, I think it will be from that age.
And where are you live? Where are you from originally? Is it Italy?
Yeah, from Rome.
Yeah. Okay. So is that where you were at that time, at that age, in
Yeah.
Rome? Okay. So he was obviously being influenced by a lot of the UK artists, because obviously they must have been quite big. So when was this? What sort of years are we talking about?
Oh, like end of the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, and early 2000s, and I think also a lot of Italian music. A lot of Italian music. I have like the classics, that I remember the lyrics just by heart, not because I necessarily like the song or I played myself, just because it was playing like as a soundtrack in my house every day.
And what sort of Italian artists are we talking about?
Oh, it's really this Italian music. There is like some music also with a beat, of course, the DJs like. But what the bigger amount of people like is this very dramatic music with a lot of deep text. Like for instance, artists like Lucio Battisti, I don't know if you know, or Fabrizio De André. These are sorts of like, especially De André is considered like a poet that sings the poetry on the music. And that's what many people like. There is not much music in sort of beat going on. It's mostly like accompanying the lyrics.
Amazing. And at that time, did you have any of your own records? Were you given any records, or were they purely your father's?
Yeah, only through my father's. And the first time I bought a record, I think I was probably around 18, something like that.
Okay.
17, 18, 16, no, 17, maybe something like that.
Tell us about that. How did that work? Did you go to a record shop? Did you know what you were going to buy? So how did it go?
Yeah, so what happened is I started, so since I was like 14, 15, I started to go in Rome to underground reggae music events where DJs used to play like reggae music from Jamaica or UK on record. So I used to do that like every week. So at some point I really started getting into it and connecting with some friends of mine from a neighborhood, and we all share the same passion. So at some point we started DJing together, first just files, and at some point we started buying records, but reggae, straight to reggae. I didn't like buy first something more famous, or I just went to reggae. There was still one record shop in Rome that was selling just reggae. It closed down just shortly after, but still was there. It was called One Love. That was the also main sound system of Roma from 90s, early 2000, and they were importing mostly records from Jamaica. So we got a bunch of those records. Then I started also slowly buying from Discogs. That was still almost at the beginning, a bit messy website, but still possible to buy records. And I did a trip to London with a friend of mine who was already way more deep into original records buying than me. But in that trip, I also bought stuff. So that's how it was going on. So between this, what I'm talking about, I used to be 18, 19 already.
That's the age you were at, 18 or 19.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're okay, so that's when you buy your first record, and you say that you have this group of friends, and you're all sort of getting into records at the time, and then you're all starting to DJ. And reggae was obviously the first love.
Yeah,
Hence why
absolutely.
you're buying records from there. So,
Yeah.
can you remember some of the first events that you DJ'd at?
Oh, like first at the beginning, I used to play with friends just in a tiny bar next to my house, with just like in the outskirts of Rome. Like it used to be under a social housing complex, kind of a strange half legal bar. Like then when we started getting a bit more serious, we started making events in a really cool place in Rome called Brancaleone. That used to be a squat, then it became like kind of a cultural center, more like very much into music, but also doing some expositions sometimes. And there we started also booking international artists, like Youth One Promotion Sound from Jamaica, and then we moved to another venue where we did General Levy, Tipa Irie, and also some jungle drum and bass DJs like Congo Natti, Benny Page. Yeah, that's
Amazing. Yeah, I mean that is a yeah. I mean all of those artists are incredible.
yeah.
So what years are you starting to sort of get these artists and book them for your
I
event?
used to be 20.
So you're
I
20.
was 20. Yeah, it was my last year in Roma. I remember
Okay.
that.
So what year was that? Giving away your age, but what year was that?
I'm 33. It was 2011.
2011. Okay, cool. So you're bringing all these artists to Rome. And what sort of venues are you bringing them to?
Oh, Rome has big, still has, but used to have even bigger back in the day. But it still has a big squat scene. So the thing is, this music is not really supported by regular clubs.
Okay.
So there is not the in between like a proper venue or a squat, or it's at the proper venue, or it's at the squat. So since the music that we used to like was not suitable for those clubs, we were forced to do it in the squats. But the squats are really very much attended. The big places like ex schools, or even the ex slaughterhouse that was abandoned, and big events. Still nowadays
Wow.
they're doing them there, like with the hundreds of people. Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, no, it's really nice. And when I go to Rome, I still visit. Now I live in Amsterdam, but when I go to Rome, I still go to the events that my friends that I used to play with. They're still doing them in the same spots, and now they are still booking reggae artists like Channel One, King Shiloh, King Kong. Like it's really like they're really working very well.
That's incredible. Yeah, but I guess it's almost a reflection of what was going on in Jamaica, and obviously some of the parties there. So I suppose
Yeah,
in Rome it wasn't sort of accepted to get into the proper venues, so you've got to have somewhere to be
yeah, of
able
course.
to have the music. But yeah, slaughterhouses and schools, and yeah, sounds crazy. Sounds great, but perfect for that music as well with
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
with the heavy
absolutely.
sound
No, no,
system.
the outcome is great. They have this particle fat vibes. It's really nice. I go there. They play like now the sound became. It's very much UK, a bit dub. Sometimes going a bit into dubstep. Sometimes going a bit into jungle. Then going back to reggae. It's a fun party on the big sound system, which is rare nowadays because of sound restrictions going on pretty much everywhere. So that's nice.
So the sound restrictions don't impact because it's on a squat.
Yeah, and yeah, that, and also it's a very favorable area with not much around. So
Okay. So
so
yeah,
not
yeah, you don't have people
too many
living close by.
complaints.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess that's sound restrictions is the problem everywhere, and it's certainly killing a lot of the UK scene. A lot of UK venues have sort of disappeared because
Oh, in the Netherlands,
yeah,
in Germany, for sure.
yeah, yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame. Cool. Okay, so you start booking these artists, and the parties just keep going. And are you DJing at these events as well?
Yeah, yeah, of course. And I used to DJ at the events, and they were going pretty well. In fact, they continue till nowadays, even though I left. Just at some point, even though the parties were great, I decided to just leave when I was 21, and I left to Amsterdam.
Okay. All right. So what happened when you got to Amsterdam?
Yeah, well, like I brought my bag of records, and I was fascinated by the fact that here the DJ culture is taken more seriously than Rome, because in
Okay.
Rome, even though the parties were great, still like there was the problem that, as I said, there were or the proper clubs or the squats, and the squats, even though a lot of people used to go there, they still got they are a squat, so not everyone, for political reasons or whatever other reason, didn't want to go there. Like so, there wasn't. It was nice, but also at the same time complicated, because in Rome these squats, they also carry very much of a political meaning behind.
Okay.
Which I support personally, but some people maybe no. So in my opinion, like the music should be enjoyed by everyone. Also, of course, there is always a message, especially in reggae music. But if the message goes only to the people who agrees with this message, then it kind of repeats itself. Instead, you can educate
Yeah.
more people, bringing this music also somewhere else. In fact, in Amsterdam, the same music I used to play there, here I started playing it in clubs, in nice bars, in the centrum. So for me, at the beginning, at least, because now the situation changed in the last years. For me, at the beginning, was great. I used to play, get paid, and for me, I was finally doing something and and taken seriously what I was doing. Because there
Amazing.
was not a chance for me to get paid in Rome, only if I sold tickets.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Which is a much harder thing to do. Promoting anything is difficult. Okay. And what about the sort of transition for like the records you're buying in Amsterdam? Was it very different to what you were finding back in Rome?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Here, the vinyl culture, the DJ culture is more spreaded out. So like there are many DJs, and many are active, or at least used to be active. And in Rome, you don't really find the records for this kind of music. You need to import everything, and record digging in Italy in general, it's about other stuff. It's more about the disco, it's more about the jazz, soundtracks, rock. That's the stuff if you like, you can find in Rome, and find nice stuff. Here instead, you find a lot of reggae, you find a lot of Caribbean music, for historical reasons as well, because first of all, there is big Caribbean communities here in Amsterdam that came here already since the 60s and brought a lot of records and a lot of the music here. Also events, bands. So there is that stuff also physically in record stores. You can find it. And also, as I said, the reggae music already since 70s, 80s, and the 90s. There were regularly concerts in the main venues in the city center every week. So it's more accepted kind of music. So even Dutch people used to collect reggae records already back then. In Italy, it used to be way more rare.
Amazing. So you're a little bit like a kid in a candy shop when you arrive in Amsterdam. You're suddenly
Yeah.
finding all this amazing music. You've talked a lot about reggae and obviously Caribbean music, and that's obviously one of your biggest sort of passions. Why is it those particular genres attract you?
Oh well, I started like it really all started from reggae music. I don't know exactly. Like when I used to be, of course, 16. Like what I used to like about reggae music, it was that the parties were nice. So I used to go to these really cool venues, listening music all night, smoking weed. For me, it was a lot of fun with my group of friends. So, but later I started. Only later I started really focusing on the music and really getting into it. What do I like about it? That's an interesting that's an interesting question
It's always a
because
difficult question, isn't it?
yeah, like, well, I think like for many years I was listening so much to reggae because I really got nerdy about it, that I think it really kind of forged my taste in music a little bit, because um now, like, I used to like this minor chord roots reggae music from Jamaica from the 70s. That's what I really used to listen a lot, and that brought me to like as well, later also like minor chord calypso from the 60s instead, and also, and that brought me to Latin music. So it really all started from reggae. And reggae, I used to really like the message of reggae music many times, the political message of some records, like from Bob Marley. Also, I used to like the peace message, or the well, like reggae music. It's known also to be like very political, to carry big political message many times, and that's what I used to really like about it, and that really got me into it. And then what I started liking later on was really built on that base.
Yeah, yeah, and it's amazing how music takes you
Yeah.
to different styles of music. It's, I mean, for me, I've liked reggae music for a long time. Also, like hip hop, and for me, hip hop has taken me to jazz, reggae, Latin, all sorts of stuff. But it's interesting to hear that reggae is sort of moving you, like you say, firstly to calypso, which is quite an old style, and then obviously then on to Latin music, which is just, I mean, where do you start? There's so much amazing Latin music. But again, calypso, that's an interesting thing, And so, when did you first get into that? And again, what was it? Is it the rhythms? Is it the instrumentation? Is it the sounds?
So
What is it you like?
yeah, so what happened is, at some point, because that's important to say, I started working in a record store
Okay. Yeah.
that was called Vintage Voodoo, and was really specialized in tropical music. There was Caribbean, African, South American, a lot of Bollywood. There was really all sorts um, uh, of that kind of sound. And there I discovered Calypso, and I knew that there was also Calypso in Jamaica a little bit, but there I really started listening the sound of Calypso from Trinidad, and I discovered sometimes some similarities with what I used to listen in reggae music, the minor chord with horns, calypso. It really connected to me because I used to like the same things of it in reggae music. For me, like this minor chord um, recordings, a bit more dramatic. That's what I used to really be into.
Amazing, amazing, yeah. And I love calypso music. And again, I'm sort of mutual friend Malong introduced me to a lot of sort of calypso music. So the record store, then, how long did you work there for?
5 or 6. Let me think. I think yeah, somewhere like 5 or 6 years.
And how was that? Because with record
Oh, man.
stores, you get some people sometimes who are a little bit miserable if they're running record shops, my experience. Other people who are really into it, how was it for you working in a store?
Well, for me, I used to be 23, in Amsterdam. So for me, it was kind of a dream at the beginning, to be able to work in a record store and be in a city I like. And I close the shop. Sometimes I go directly to a gig with the records from the record store. For me, it was like I was having a ball, the beginning. Then later in the years, I started being more and more involved. And in the end, I was kind of understanding that I was for me was better maybe to be a dealer on my own,
Okay.
because the record store at some point you really need to be into it, because it really takes a lot from you. And I was starting to understanding that growing up,
Yeah.
and
Well, I think like most people who buy records, I think we've all had the dream of sort of running a record store, but the actual reality of it is ultimately it becomes that you're just shifting product. Yes, you've got to be into it and you've got to be excited about what comes through your door, but ultimately you've got to shift the product and get it out there. So it becomes like any other business, quite hard.
oh yeah,
Um,
well, with the difference that the record store has the thing that you might also never stop working, because it's
yeah.
something you like, like, and it just adds up.
Yeah, 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 there's never ending. It's never ending. So obviously you left that record store. What was the next thing you did? You talked about maybe becoming a dealer yourself.
Yeah, so the record store at some point I didn't leave it. It closed down.
Okay.
Uh, but when it was closing down, before it closed down, I booked a ticket to go to Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados,
Yeah.
with the purpose of digging records. I didn't really know if I was gonna find anything, or if or what was gonna happen there. So my idea was to go to Trinidad, maybe find some records, come back, sell some, keep some, having gigs because digging trip, people is curious to listen to records. With the store, we used to have a party. What happened is the day I come back, it was the first day of lockdown in 2020. So all those hopes and dreams, they just completely go away. I come back with around 2,045s
Okay.
from Trinidad, and that kept me busy during the pandemic.
Yeah.
At the same time, my life became really being in my apartment, cleaning records, listening on my own, and
Yeah. It was quite an interesting time because I think I was in Amsterdam the 6th of March DJing with some friends over there, and then we flew back, and I think it was 1 week later, I think the Netherlands locked down, and then the week after that is when the UK locked down for the first time. So it was sort of that period, wasn't it? So how did that affect you? Because obviously, like a lot of us, it was very difficult for our lives just to effectively stop. So your life became cleaning records and what, selling them online? Is that
yeah,
basically
yeah,
what
yeah,
you
a bit
did?
selling them online because of the pandemic. I mean, the shop was gonna close, but all that happened so fast that was everything was very very uncertain. So even though I wanted to keep some records because I still had to pay the rent and the expenses were the same, I had to start selling online, and even stuff that maybe I would have kept otherwise. And that's yeah, I started doing that mostly. Yeah.
Okay. I've missed a bit. How was the trip when you got to Trinidad?
Oh,
So tell us about that. I mean,
so
that must have been exciting.
I've
First
been
time
I've
there?
been I've been away 5 weeks, I think, or 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, and I've been Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados. And for me was I still remember it like one of the best experiences in my life. Um, for me, yeah, I met so many DJs from the past, collectors. I went there thinking I knew about music from these places. When I arrived there, I realized I didn't know anything. I discovered so much, and I was really really lucky to connect in Trinidad with people that really explain me a lot also about the old artists and about especially how the old record industry used to work. But what really changed a lot for me instead was when I went in the same trip to another island, to Barbados, because in Barbados, by pure coincidence, I met people involved in the actual old record label world that used to be one of the main pressing plant in the Caribbean. And when I went there, they didn't have a clue that the records from Barbados are known outside the island. They were completely clueless. And when I started telling them and showing them that, they were completely blown away. And from that day on, we started working together for licensing the music um, from the old label. I was the middleman between them and another label from London that I cannot mention now.
Okay.
Uh, but a lot of, well, it's not that hard to find, but the many releases that have been on Whirl in the last years, they were all licensed through the actual Whirl people, and that's how I'm starting my own label. I don't do licensing anymore for others. I do it for my own releases.
That's amazing, and we'll get to the label because that's one of the things that sort of intrigued me. Well, yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute. But yeah, so you end up in Barbados, and so this was just what, a lucky link up that you happened to meet these people who were in the sort of
Yeah,
pressing? I mean,
yeah.
did they know that obviously
So
you were a collector and that you'd come over from Europe? And is that
so
how
what
you?
happened is I put on an advertisement on Facebook
Okay.
saying, "Hi, I'm visiting Barbados. I'm looking for old records. Is anyone out there who has records? Don't need them, or want to sell them, or I don't know, anything."
Yeah.
So one guy replies to me, yeah, you have to meet this man, Stephen Lubin. So I go to this Stephen house and talking to so this guy is now we're friends already for a while. I've been to Barbados already 3-4 times in the meantime, and we're friends. We work together. I interviewed him even, and this guy has had like a legendary life. He was running a record shop in London, in New York. He toured with the Rolling Stones for many years, and in the early 2000s he moved to Barbados to run a soca label called CRS that was, you can say, it was the continuation of Weird Records. And he said, but the old owner of Weird Records is one of my best friends. And I was like, wow, you
Wow.
know.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's. I think we'll come back to the label in a minute, but at the moment we're sort of at the pandemic. You're sort of buying and sort of selling on Discogs, having to sell stuff. How did it come out the other end then? So when you came out of sort of lockdown and the pandemic, were you then back to sort of DJing, and were you then back to able to sort of buy and sell properly in terms of how you wanted to, or not?
When I came back from no, well, when it was lockdown here, everything was closed. There was no DJing, no nothing, and it was very depressing. I was really saved by the fact that I brought back so many records that it really kept me busy cleaning, listing, and also just listening, because what I brought back, I many records I didn't have a clue what they were. Like because I didn't really play them much when I was there. A bit, yes, some, yes, of course, at night, after dinner when not busy anymore, I was playing with my portable record player. But, I really had the time to listen and to enjoy this music finally. Yeah, as I said, unfortunately, I had to sell also much more than what I expected to do, because yeah, like I had a small job, and slowly I couldn't work anymore, also because of the pandemic, and also I didn't like this job, so I didn't mind. So I just started selling records. What I did, though, I could buy records in Amsterdam, and that's what I did to keep the wheel spinning, so to say. I met many people from Suriname in Amsterdam, and that were all DJs, and they introduced me to all DJ scene, and we started talking records. Sometimes I could buy from them to resell, or maybe sell for them, and so this kind of stuff. So I started becoming a record dealer full time.
And so that's amazing that you've sort of, probably because of the pandemic, you've met this community
Yeah.
of people that you might not have otherwise met. And obviously, I guess the music is quite interesting, isn't it? That you're finding there, if they're from
Oh, yeah,
Suriname.
yeah. Music from Suriname, it's really peculiar. They have their own styles. One is, well, there are many styles, but they make Latin music, funk, disco, and everything. But the most more characteristic styles are Caseco, which is very fast drumming, dancey music, and Kavina, which is very percussive chants. very folky kind of music, very beautiful, very fascinating kind of rhythms. And yeah, like I knew about it, and maybe I with the pandemic helped me to take time, to look for these people, to talk to the old DJs, to really make a connection. And that helped me a lot because I was absolutely the only one doing it in that moment. And of course, there were already diggers and dealers highlighting records from Suriname. Absolutely, I'm not saying no. What I did though was doing it in a much bigger scale because I started doing it like on a weekly basis. I still do it sometimes. I pile up lots of many records and ship them all over the world, sometimes 50, 100 records per package. And people still write to me asking me for the records from Suriname.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting music. I mean, I love world music, so it's certainly something that I've listened to, but only a small amount. I'm sure you've heard a great deal more. So you're sort of full-time record collector by this point. And does that carry on after the pandemic and after the lockdowns end?
Yeah. At some point after the lockdown, I went to work a bit on a regular job, but I didn't do. I did it like 3-4 months, and then I realized, okay, now I just wanna do that, and that's what I did. I quit and said, okay, now I'll just do it. And I what I did basically Suriname, all DJs. One thing that is really interesting, what they were actually, because there is the music from Suriname, as I said, but the DJs, they were not really playing that much. They
Okay.
used a few records in their collection, but what old Suriname DJs they were playing was soul music, American soul music. So
Really
basically,
interesting.
yeah. Deep soul, especially, not the fast side, the slow
Okay.
ballads on the B sides. That's what they used to play at the dances all night. And so all of a sudden, even though I like soul, not biggest soul collector. I have a box that of tunes I kept for myself, but I became a soul music dealer all of a sudden because that's what I used to find the most. So
Yeah, I guess it's what you can find, isn't it? And obviously, if that's what the DJs are into, then
yeah,
obviously that's your market, isn't it?
yeah.
Again, it's coming back to not that records, well, the records are our products, but again, it's supply and demand, isn't it? This is what's wanted, so let me
Yeah,
cover that market, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I used to find a lot of this soul music. So then started selling like northern soul, deep soul, crossover, this kind of stuff. And um,
And is
well,
that
that really kept me going until today. That's still what I'm doing. Fortunately, after the pandemic, I managed to make again trips to the Caribbean, and I went 2 more times to Barbados, also to other islands, St. Vincent, and discovered the music from there, and also made connections with musicians, old record labels.
amazing? I'm just going to say hello to Svalansky. We've just had a raid. There's a Svalansky is in Hamburg, and we organised a We Love 45s event in Hamburg in July. But he's brought his people who are watching him. So welcome in, and thank you, Kiki, for that subscription. And yeah, Svalansky, thank you again. But yeah, no, thank you for bringing some people here. We're here talking to Matteo from Amsterdam, originally from Italy. He's told us his story from a young age up into sort of record collecting, getting into reggae, getting into Calypso, and then becoming a record dealer in Amsterdam at the beginning and sort of after the sort of pandemic. So obviously the next stage, I think, is obviously you decide that you're going to make your own label.
Yes.
So
So
what inspired you to do that, and what is the label going to promote?
So, as I said, for a couple of years, I've been licensing music from Barbados and a couple of tunes for Suriname for other labels. So I was basically the middleman between the label and the artists or the record label, whoever used to own the copyrights. So I did it for a while, but then I just sort of realized that that seemed like something I really want to do because, first of all, I even though I do it for a living, like buying and selling secondhand records, it's not really something that really it's not fully my thing, you know. I like it till a certain extent. Instead, having a label and repressing and highlighting old records, and also producing new artists, because that's also what I'm doing. It's way more fulfilling, way more satisfying for me. So that's when I decided to do it. When did I actually start? It was 1 year ago with Steven, my friend from Barbados. He put me in contact with Ricky Amy, who used to be the bass player of this band, The Outfit, one of the best bands from Barbados. That they did this P-Funk record called Dr. Spoogenstein, which is a cover of Dr. Frankenstein by Parliament in local
Yeah.
Spooge music. Spooge is the genre native of Barbados. And I just licensed the music from him, you know, and signed a contract with Will. Everyone was happy, and in this year, I found out about all the steps that brings you to press a record, because it's quite an adventure. If you do it for the first time, you need to find.
Well, yeah, tell us about that, because I know some people. I mean, I don't want to start a record label. I've got ideas to put out a 45 at some point, but you know, if someone is thinking about this, you know, what are the steps as a first time
Well,
record label to take?
first of all, you need to find a record that you would like to repress. Then after that, you need to, if the master tapes aren't there, and 90% of the times master tapes aren't there, you probably need to digitalize this record, find an engineer who can do it well. Then this recording has to be mastered, and the mastering many times is done by another person. Then you need to listen. Does it work? Does it sound well? It takes time, this process, and then this mastering has to be sent to record pressing factory. Then you need to design the label. The factory takes a long time to do it. You need to find the right factory. Now I found out about all the steps, so next releases will be faster for sure.
Yeah.
But I started 1 year ago for sure. I'm also slow. I'm not saying I did it in the fastest way for sure, but if you just start, it's a bit of a long process.
Yeah, and I guess it seems easy, but it's interesting you're saying so that the masters, if they don't exist, you are digitizing what a record that you've already got, that you've already picked up.
Yeah.
So whatever state that is in, because obviously these aren't songs that were produced last week, are they? You know, these are songs from
70s.
the 70s. Okay,
Yeah,
so that record is already 50, 55 years old, isn't it?
Yeah, you need a clean copy generally. Yeah, clean copy.
Yeah.
Scratch copies, you can do some restoration. A clean copy is always best.
Yeah. Okay, so you get to the stage. So let's have a look at the label artwork, because it's very cool. So
Thanks.
Lava on Wax. So how did you come up with the name, and who did the artwork?
So the name, it took me some time to to find this name. I'm happy with my name finally, because I had many DJ names through the years, since I changed like 4, 5, 6 times, and I was never really happy with my name. This is the first time I stick to it. First of all, it was supposed to be the name of a party I wanted to make. The lava, it brings, like, since I've been always working at Vintage Voodoo, there was always this thing about the music, that there was heat in it, so
Yeah.
then I thought the fire, then I thought about the lava, from so that means really like some hot stuff, on wax record, of course. So that's, I really put a lot of words on a big board, like 100 words or even more, and I had the first other kind of names, but I wasn't sure, as feedback to some people. And then I came up with Lava on Wax. This is not the first logo. This logo, I have it since a couple of weeks. The previous logo was done by a designer I found on Google. I wasn't really happy with that logo. I kept it for a bit more than a year. But now with the label, I said, okay, no, let's do it properly. And I'm really happy with this logo. I have also a stamp, and I'm stamping the 45 sleeves with it. And I was suggested by this artist in Amsterdam. It's called Pane. It means bread in Italian. He has a really cool studio in the centrum of the city, and he's an artist full time. And I really like his style. He worked for many artists and many also brands. What he came up with, I'm really happy. I think it's really timeless logo.
Yeah, I love the name. I love the logo,
Thanks.
and yeah, it does exactly what it is. So it's going to be heat. So, what is the first release? I know it's on pre-order, I think, at the moment. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah, this is it's the one I was talking about, the cover of Parliament, Dr.
Yeah.
Spugenstein, and on the B side is a disco track called "Theme from Peter Gunn," and I'm supposed to receive the test presses tomorrow. And
Wow.
I signed a deal with Rush Hour for distribution, so the records will be spread out all over the world. So it's really nice. And the pre-sales, I didn't check the figures yet, but I heard was going very well. So it seems like it's a success.
Cool.
And the original record is really wanted. There are some collectors that are ready to pay a lot of money to own an original copy of it. I still have one, which I'll keep for myself, of course.
Yeah.
But
And so it's two covers. I mean, I love covers. So the theme from Peter Gunn, that is a cover as well. Yeah.
of course, yeah, from
Yeah. Yeah.
Peter Gunn. I think it used to be a TV series from 60s.
Yeah. 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 Cool. So you got
The great composer Henry Mancini, which I
that's right.
think he also the shot in the Pink Panther.
He did,
From,
yeah.
yeah,
He did Pink Panther as well, yeah. So that's very exciting. So the test press is maybe tomorrow.
yeah.
And how long do you think from there until the physical assuming they're approved? How long do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be approved, but I think it will pass like around a month and a half max, something like that.
Oh, cool. Okay, so what are we now? August. So end of September,
Yeah,
maybe beginning of
September,
October.
October maximum. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so people can head to order that, and is that on Bandcamp or where are you selling that directly?
I still need to set up a Bandcamp. For now, you can order it through Rush Hour.
Okay.
I'm still in the process of setting up everything that a proper label has to have.
Yeah.
I'm making a little bit investigation, on what needs to be there. But yeah, I will set up a Bandcamp and maybe another website. I will see.
Yeah. I say it's one step at a time, isn't it? See how this
Yeah,
goes,
yeah,
and then obviously
yeah.
go from
It's
there.
a lot of things to set up, especially. Yeah,
Yeah, and I guess once it's set up once, hopefully then it's there for the future.
yeah.
So, obviously this one's licensed and this one's almost ready to go. Do you have the next one planned after that? Do you know where you're going to go from
I
there?
have a couple more planned. So there is. I'm producing one artist who is a friend of mine. We're making a spooge song, the style from Barbados, spooge instrumental. It's still in the making, so we don't even yet have a name, but it's really, really cool rhythm. So that's something I want to do, produce new music. Also, I would like to get into electronic music as well. And I have two more represses that I would like to do as well. One is the record I already told you about. This one I have it right here. It's called Kala Hamza.
Yeah. Well, let me just get that one up in the picture because we got a bigger picture, and then you can tell me about it. So there you go,
Yes,
Kala Hamza.
yes,
There you go, Merry Disc, made in Barbados, 1974. The Barbados
yeah.
Spooge
If you
Ensemble.
see above 1974, you can see the name of two people, Joe Truss and Michael Kamen. Michael Kamen is the composer of the soundtracks of movies such Die Hard, Little
Wow.
Weapon, Robin Hood. He used to be superstar composer in Hollywood. This record was pressed way before he became a composer in Hollywood. He was a young guy. He went to Barbados, connected with a couple musicians there, and they issued this crazy record. It's a psychedelic funk rock song with lyrics about Kalahamza, which is supposed to. It's this big bird from a kind of esoteric cult. A very weird story behind it. I interviewed Joe Truss, who's still alive. And I will release also that interview where he explains in detail also the story behind that record. And there is no copies of this because all copies been destroyed by the pressing plant.
Oh
Because
wow.
yeah,
But you've got one though.
yeah, I was very lucky to find one. The producer Joe Truss kept also three for himself because it was pressed at the wrong speed. So
Ah,
the copies, the pressing plant, throw them away. Just the producer and another musician kept a few.
so what is it pressed at? So it's 33 or
You need to play it at 33 and then
okay.
pitch all the way down, and then you're gonna have the correct
so,
pitch.
so it's what pressed at like 78 or something?
I don't know. Yes, super weird. Super weird.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's interesting. But you've obviously licensed it, and when you put it out, you'll put it out at the
Yeah,
45.
yeah. So it's
Yeah,
gonna be almost like the first ever release of that record.
going back to from
Yeah.
1974. Amazing. And obviously you have the logo for the stamp. Are you recreating artwork, or are you going to have special artwork for the actual label on the records?
The repress is like I would like to keep them with the original artwork because I like old labels. Sometimes maybe in the future I will also use my own, but maybe I will keep the the new artwork only for when I produce new music.
Yeah, and that's interesting because obviously you're not just doing represses, because a lot of their labels are just represses, and so the releases that you're going to have under your own productions and obviously other people producing new music, is that still going to be under the same brand, or is that going to be like a subsidiary label?
No, I mean, so I still need to find out that part, but so far the plan is to put it in the same brand.
Yeah, keep it under the same label. Yeah, that's fantastic. So yeah, okay, that's really exciting. And what about gigs? Are you sort of still getting out there and sort of gigging at the moment, DJing?
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, in Amsterdam, not that much. Like when I play here, it's mostly something that I organize. But lately, in the last couple of years, I'm getting lucky with international bookings. Not
Yeah.
that many, but still a decent amount. I played in England. I played in Italy. I played in France. Now I'm gonna soon play in Croatia. So things are going
And
pretty well.
I guess once the label is there, I mean, obviously it's not why you're doing it, but once the label is there, I guess that adds another sort of interest for people to book a
Oh,
DJ because you're a record label head.
that's what I really hope. I
Yeah.
played recently also in the US. I played in San Francisco, Las Vegas, in really cool places, nice, beautiful parties.
Yeah. And this is because you've got these amazing records that other people haven't got.
Yeah, that's what sparks the interest in bookers. They wanna hear the secret records that I keep. So they're not very secret because of course many I don't highlight them online, but what I really like to do is to share online on Instagram and Facebook, making content for people to listen, highlighting songs, maybe telling a little story about it if I have, or if I don't have, just saying why I like this song. That's really something I like to do.
It's part of being a DJ is sharing music, isn't it? And that's why
Absolutely,
we all
absolutely.
do it. You know, you want to play something and someone go, wow, what is this record? Or
Yeah.
who is this artist? Or what version is this? You know, that's the sort of, that makes, I think that makes all DJs sort of happy. So that's great. Okay, well, I think we're pretty much there. What's the next sort of things that you've got sort of coming up? You mentioned some. You've obviously been to Trinidad and Tobago, and I think when we spoke before, you said there's possibly some other countries that you might want to go and sort of start digging.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now I'm planning another trip very soon. I think it will be probably again Barbados or Trinidad. Then I want to come back, and I was thinking maybe to visit some African countries that are sounds interesting and just completely change.
Yeah,
You know, aim. And I was thinking Zimbabwe sounds really nice music, or maybe go to Asia. I wanna. It's almost like when you turn the world, the globe, and then you point
yeah, yeah,
almost like that.
and you just don't know what you're going to find. And obviously now
Yeah,
you've got a record
that's my like.
label.
That's something I really like.
Yeah. I guess the main issue a lot of the time from speaking to other record labels is licensing. Sometimes it's difficult to find who
Yeah,
actually has the rights and the master copies and things like that. But I guess that's just something you'll learn and hopefully
yeah. I
once
was
licensing will go
really
through.
really lucky in that, and because I did it for as a job for a couple of years. Because when I went to the Caribbean, like I have this thing myself that I like to make friends wherever I go. So when I went there, I really met a lot of people involved in the old music industry. So some labels from the UK contacted me and asked me, can you put us in contact? And then I saw how it works, the licensing. It took me a while, and sometimes it's easy because maybe I met that exact person, or maybe I met the label manager back in the days, and he's gonna put me in contact with the artist, or maybe he himself is the right owner. But sometimes it's an actual detective job. Like absolutely, you need to find people who is really hard to find, and it even went down to going in random places and asking. I don't know, in the bar you ask, and then in the bar they say, maybe go to the barber shop, because I remember 5 years ago, the brother of this person used to go to the barber shop, and then you go to the barber shop, and the barber shop is going to point you out in a house after the big tree on the right, and then you go and knock to a complete stranger. So it also becomes that sometimes. It's fun, but it can also be like a big waste of time. But
well, yeah, exactly. You might get there, and then they might just say, "No, I'm not
exactly,
interested. I don't want to. I don't want to sell the rights." So,
exactly.
but yeah, hopefully that won't happen too often. But yeah, okay, Matteo, it's been fantastic. Let me just
Thank you.
set this raid for a minute. And once again, thank you to Svolansky for bringing the raid in. Okay, cool. That is set. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. It's been really interesting
Sure.
finding out more about you and obviously finding out the label. I'm looking forward to that, and I'll definitely be sort of ordering that. But yeah, thank you so much again for being here. If you could just remain there for a second, we'll have a quick chat after the show. But thank you everyone for tuning in. You can watch it back on YouTube. You'll be able to watch it back and listen to it on Mixcloud as well. But yeah, thank you so much, and let's end the stream.